My name is Jessica Parker, and I am 28 years old living in Denver, Colorado, where the mountains hug the city, and the sun shines most days. Even in winter, I wake up in my small but lively apartment. And I love hiking with my rescue dog Murphy. The truth is, I had finally built a career I was proud of, working hard in project management for years, and making my parents proud. But what really set my world spinning was an email from a company in Spain. They wanted me to lead a new international team, and it felt like the opportunity of a lifetime. So I packed up my life and convinced my husband and our 5-year-old daughter that this was our adventure. And we moved across the ocean. It was scary at first, but also thrilling. The company promised creative freedom and the chance to build a team from scratch. And so for weeks I read resumes and scheduled video interviews until I had assembled 8 talented people from all over Europe. They respected me and trusted my vision, which made me even more determined to succeed. There was one thing, though, that made me uneasy. 2 men, Martin and Carlos, both in their 40s, seemed to bristle every time I gave instructions. It was subtle at first: blank stares when I asked questions, or quiet sighs when I led meetings. I tried to win them over by listening carefully, explaining every decision. But they always kept their distance. At first I thought maybe they just missed home or were nervous about the new project, but soon their disregard turned mean. One day Martin snapped while we were discussing a new process. He raised his voice so suddenly that the whole open floor went silent. He said I was too young and did not know what I was doing, and questioned why the company picked me. I was shocked and humiliated, especially since my new team watched in horror. I tried to keep my cool and moved forward, but the damage was done. That night I lay awake replaying the scene over and over, wondering what I did wrong. The next week it got worse. Carlos cornered me in my office before the others arrived. He shut the door and his face got red, and he unleashed a string of bitter insults. It was not just about work, but about me, about my age, about being a woman. In his words, someone who had not paid her dues. He called me weak and said nobody respected me and that I would never last. I was shaking as he left, but I wrote everything down in a notebook with dates, times, and the words he had used. I turned in a report to human resources and my manager. I told them I felt unsafe and could not work with Carlos anymore. The company said they would investigate, but nothing changed. Instead, it seemed like every meeting became more tense. I noticed that Martin and Carlos were spreading rumors about me, whispering to the others and making sly jokes. I tried to keep the team together, but the atmosphere got so toxic that even the people I hired started hesitating before talking to me. A week later, my boss called me and she said it was not working, that morale was low. She asked me to resign. When I refused, they fired me and promoted Martin and Carlos into my role. All my hard work meant nothing, and the team I built was broken. Most of them had moved from their own countries, just like I had, and now they were stuck. My heart broke for them and for my family, since we had uprooted our lives hoping for something better. I tried to fight back. I hired a lawyer and took the company to court, but their legal team was ruthless. They buried me in paperwork, called me unstable, and when a big settlement was offered, I was so burned out I just agreed to end it. When I tried to find another job, I discovered that the company had blacklisted me. They called my references, and I lost 2 promising offers before I figured out what was going on. It was like being erased, so I left the whole Spain experience off my resume. I blocked everyone on social media and moved back to Denver. But inside I felt defeated. I had nightmares about Carlos yelling, about Martin smirking, about my team. I could not help but think he would do it again to someone else. I tried to move on, but I could not let go of the injustice. Murphy would nudge my hand during my most sleepless nights, and I knew I owed it to myself to do something. I thought about writing a long post on LinkedIn telling the truth, but the risk seemed huge. What if people thought I was just bitter? What if it hurt my future jobs? Still, part of me wanted justice. My hands sometimes shook what those men had done to me and to my team. I started researching how to expose unethical workplaces without exposing myself. Slowly an idea grew in my mind, and every night after Murphy fell asleep at my feet, I researched and wrote. I dug through my old company emails and documents. I made a list of every abusive thing Carlos had said, dates, names, how they promoted each other. I contacted 2 of my old teammates still stuck in that office. I promised to help them find better jobs if they too would truthfully describe what had happened. They were scared at first, but eventually they agreed to write anonymous statements. I masked their names and mine, and I submitted the evidence to several journalists and to a nonprofit that tracked unfair labor practices. To my surprise, a magazine actually called me back. An investigative reporter met with me in a crowded coffee shop. She wore big headphones and nodded as I spoke. She asked for proof, so I read her my old notes. I forwarded emails showing how recommendations for promotions were always ignored. She asked for contacts, so I gave them, and soon she deciphered the truth from 3 countries. When the article was published, I was nervous and excited. The company name was there, and so were dozens of stories from people who suffered too. Even friends from my old industry reached out to say they believed me. Finally, Martin and Carlos did not look like heroes anymore. The company denied it at first, but the story got shared so widely that even their biggest client dropped them within weeks. My phone was full of messages, and many team members managed to find new jobs because of what I did. Carlos and Martin both lost their promotions and were put on suspension. But that was not even the best part. A month after the article went public, I was invited to speak at a conference about maintaining ethical workplaces. The invitation read Speaker Series, and my name was printed in bold. That night before I spoke, I looked out at the crowd and realized I was not powerless. My voice meant something, and while revenge did not erase my pain, it helped me take control of my story again. Sometimes I wonder if Carlos ever realizes what he lost, or if Martin regrets it. All I know is I am stronger than I ever was. And now when I walk with Murphy in the park under the Denver sky, I am proud of the scars I carry. The best part was getting a letter from one of my old teammates saying their new boss is a woman my age, and for the first time nobody is scared To speak up, maybe it was not quite the revenge I pictured, but it was better, it was real, and it belonged to me.